Good morning and welcome. In the next few minutes, we'll provide a concise intelligence breakdown on a series of rapidly escalating global events. The date is March 20th, 2026, and this is your Stylo News Intelligence Update. This intelligence update is brought to you by ProWave AI, the developers of the Stylo News platform. And before we begin, a special note. To mark their one-year anniversary, ProWave AI is offering a discount for new subscribers. You can use the code STYLO at stylonews.com. Please be aware, this offer is valid only until March 31st and is limited to the first 250 subscribers. Now, to our briefing. Our focus today is on a significant and frankly troubling surge in state-sponsored cyberattacks. We're going to analyze the very real-world impact this is having, and then we'll turn to what our intelligence suggests might come next. You see, this situation has escalated quite rapidly, really just in the last 3 weeks. It all began with military strikes back on February 28th. That was then met with a major cyber attack on March 11th, and that in turn prompted the European Union to impose sanctions just a few days ago, on the 17th. This cycle of action and reaction has now become the central dynamic we're watching. Now, the pivotal event in this chain, the one we really need to understand, is the cyber attack on the U.S. medical firm Stryker. This serves as a critical case study in what modern cyber warfare actually looks like. So let's break down the details of this attack, because they are quite revealing. We know it happened on March 11th, carried out by an around-linked group known as Handela. And here's the crucial part. They didn't just steal data from Stryker, they wiped it. This wasn't for financial gain, it was a purely destructive tactic, designed for maximum disruption. And by targeting common Windows-based systems, they created an operational paralysis that cascaded to over 60 countries. And this really highlights the borderless nature of this new kind of conflict. The target was a single corporation headquartered in Michigan, but the shockwave, that was felt globally. It led to delays in medical procedures and had a direct impact on healthcare systems all around the world. And to be clear about the severity here, U.S. government and intelligence agencies have officially labeled this the most significant wartime cyber attack. That's a powerful statement. It signals that a new threshold in this kind of digital conflict has now been crossed. But it's crucial to understand that the Stryker attack, as significant as it is not happening in a vacuum. It is part of a much wider and frankly more chaotic pattern of escalating cyber activity. At the same time, you have the EU sanctioning Chinese firms for compromising 65,000 devices. A state-level iPhone hacking tool has leaked to criminals. Even the FBI is investigating a major breach of its own network. It is a very active landscape. Okay, so given this landscape, let's take a closer look at the cascading impacts of these attacks and the international responses they've triggered. You see, a single cyber attack, like this one, creates ripples at every level. On the local level, it meant very real consequences, like hospitals having to delay surgeries. Nationally, it launched a full-scale federal investigation in the United States. And then internationally, this one event was the direct catalyst for those new sanctions from the European Union. Now, to really understand the strategic landscape, it's essential to look at the different perspectives of the key actors involved. So let's review their positions based on public statements and our own intelligence gathering. First, the position of the United States. U.S. agencies have publicly condemned the attack, and they've been very clear in attributing it to Iranian-backed hackers. Now, their warning of potential retaliatory actions, well, that's careful diplomatic language, of course, but it's also a very clear signal that further escalation is very much on the table. Now, from the perspective of the attackers themselves, the group Handala has stated their motive. They claim it was direct retaliation for a deadly attack on a girls' school in Minab, Iran. This is the official justification they have put forward for why they targeted a civilian medical company. And then there's the broader international community. Their response has been very different. They're largely calling for de-escalation, for cooperation, and for setting some ground rules. The consensus seems to be that without these things, this type of conflict could easily spiral into widespread, unpredictable disruption for everyone. So that brings us to the crucial question, what happens next? Based on our analysis, here are the key developments we believe you should be monitoring. In the immediate future, we are watching 3 main areas of response. First, the U.S. effort to mitigate the damage from the Stryker attack and, of course, to enhance national cyber defenses. Second, we'll be watching the European Union to see how they monitor and enforce these new sanctions. And third, we'll be keeping an eye on Stryker's own corporate recovery. The investigation there could reveal much more about the technical details of the attack. As you can see, this is a very complex and a very rapidly evolving situation. And to really understand where it's all headed, it is absolutely crucial to stay informed. And all of this really leads to a critical question we have to ask ourselves as we look to the future. How are emerging technologies, things like artificial intelligence and quantum computing, already changing the entire landscape of this invisible war? Well, for a truly comprehensive deep dive that tackles that very question, we invite you to listen to our full analysis. It's titled Cyber Domain: The Battlefield Without Borders, and it's available right now on your favorite podcast channels. On behalf of our team, thank you for joining us for this Stylo News Intelligence Update. To continue tracking global intelligence as it develops, we invite you to visit stylonews.com. And of course, do remember to use the code STYLO when you subscribe.